How I Conquered My Fear of Public Rejection. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. My hands shook as they called my name, and I saw her smiling. It wasn't the friendly, "You've got this" smile, either. It was the smile you give when you already know how the next 5 minutes end. The kind that says, "I'm about to watch you fold." The ballroom at the downtown Denver Conference Hotel was packed with people who had lanyards and opinions. Our company's innovation pitch night always drew the execs, the investors, and the coworkers who liked watching other people sweat. There were 2 screens, a lectern, and a stage light bright enough to turn your mouth into sand. I was Eric, 29, product analyst turned reluctant builder, and I'd spent the last 7 years arranging my life around one goal: never be rejected in public again. Private rejection? Fine. A quiet no in an email? Painful but survivable. But public rejection, people laughing, whispering, recording, had rewired my brain. It wasn't just embarrassment. It was the feeling of becoming a story other people told for fun. And tonight, my pitch was the biggest yes or no of my career. If the panel bought my proposal, I got funding, a team, and a shot at leading my own project. If I bombed, I didn't just lose an idea. I'd lose the one thing I'd finally rebuilt: credibility. Behind the judge's table, Marla sat in the middle, like she owned the air. She was 41, charismatic, mentor in public, gatekeeper in private. She'd coached me for weeks, sent encouraging Slack messages at 11:47 p.m. and insisted I was ready. Now she met my eyes and tapped her pen twice, slow and patient, like she was counting down. In the front row, I caught a phone held just a little too high. Camera already open, red dot blinking. A couple people leaned toward each other, smiling like they'd been promised something. Kai, my roommate and the only person who still called me out, was in the back row. He raised 2 fingers to his eyes, and then to me. "I'm watching. Don't run." The host handed me the mic. My slide deck popped up. I took one breath. And the first slide wasn't mine, because someone had replaced it with my worst moment on purpose. 7 years earlier, I learned the exact weight of a room turning against you. I was 22 and brand new at my first real job, customer support at a fintech startup. We did all hands every other Friday. Cheap donuts, bad projector, and a CEO who loved surprise Q&As like they were personality tests. I had one thing going for me back then: I was prepared. I kept notes. I rehearsed in the bathroom mirror. When I spoke, my voice didn't shake yet. That Friday, the CEO asked if anyone had ideas to reduce ticket backlogs. My hand went up before my fear could veto it. I stood and pitched a simple routing change. It wasn't revolutionary, but it was thoughtful. I even had numbers. If we tag billing issues at intake, we can shave 12 hours off average resolution. The room was quiet for half a second. Then someone, 2 rows behind me, made a loud, exaggerated buzzer sound. Air. Laughter rippled. My cheeks flashed hot, but I pushed through. "It's not complicated," I said, trying to smile. I shouldn't have said that. A guy I barely knew, Dylan, stood up like a talk show sidekick. "Not complicated," he repeated, mimicking my little hand gesture. "Like Eric's dating life." More laughter. The CEO chuckled like it was harmless culture. I looked for an adult. For a manager. For anyone to shut it down. My supervisor stared at her donut. I finished anyway. I sat down to claps that sounded like pity. By lunch, my Slack was lighting up. Someone had clipped my comment, just the "not complicated" part, looped it, and layered it over a cartoon of a toddler stacking blocks. The meme had my name in big letters. Within an hour, it was pinned in #random, then reposted in a local startup Facebook group with the caption, "This dude really thought he did something." It went semi-viral in our little ecosystem. People I'd never met nodded at me in coffee lines like they already knew me. I stopped going to meetups. I stopped raising my hand. I started building rules. Rule 1, never speak without an exit plan. Rule 2, never volunteer for anything with a microphone. Rule 3, if there's a chance someone can laugh, assume they will. I told myself it was maturity, but really, it was fear wearing a blazer. I didn't know yet that the same pattern had followed me here. After that first job, my life became a series of careful exits. When recruiters asked, "Are you comfortable presenting to stakeholders?" I learned to say, "I prefer written summaries," like it was a strength. I became the guy who documents well. I lived inside Google Docs and Jira tickets and avoided conference rooms like they had mold. At 24, I turned down a promotion because it included quarterly presentations. I told my manager I wasn't ready to lead. The truth, I could lead fine, as long as no one looked at me while I did it. I started skipping anything that felt like an audience: birthdays, trivia nights, weddings where the DJ might hand you a mic. I'd make excuses so polite they sounded responsible. People stopped inviting me, which was supposed to be relief, but mostly felt like being quietly erased. At 27, I landed at my current company, smaller, calmer, less bro-y. I chose it partly because the job description said asynchronous communication preferred. The first 6 months felt like healing. I'd go to the sleek co-working office, do good work, then go home to my small apartment where nothing unexpected happened. Kai moved in around that time. He was a nurse and allergic to my avoidance logic. "You're not protecting yourself," he said once. "You're shrinking." I rolled my eyes, but he was right. The worst part wasn't the fear. It was the constant planning, rehearsing answers before questions were asked, declining invites because I didn't know who would be there and whether they'd record me. Then, in a team meeting, our director asked if anyone wanted to speak at a local product conference. My stomach dropped. I actually opened my mouth. I could feel it, the old rulebook screaming, the toddler meme flashing behind my eyes. Marla cut in before I could make a sound. "Eric's more of a behind-the-scenes genius," she said, laughing softly. "We'll volunteer someone more comfortable." Everyone chuckled like it was a compliment. I smiled like it was fine. My hands went numb under the table. Afterward, she messaged me, "You're smart to know your limits. Proud of you." That should have felt supportive. Instead, it felt like a lid closing. The next morning, Marla emailed me a calendar invite with no subject line. The calendar invite was for a prep session scheduled for 7:30 a.m. at a coffee shop near the office. No subject, no description, just Marla as organizer and me as required attendee. I stared at it the way you stare at a text from an ex, confused, slightly nauseous, already bracing for something you can't name. When I showed up, Marla was already there, perfectly put together, holding 2 cappuccinos like she'd planned my entire morning. "Eric," she said, warm and loud enough for the barista to hear. "I'm so glad you came." "Your invite didn't have a subject?" I said, trying to keep my tone casual. She laughed. "Oh my God, I'm a mess. I was half asleep. Sit." She slid a folder across the table. Inside was a printout of the innovation pitch night agenda with my name highlighted. "I want you on that stage," she said, leaning in. "You've been hiding. I've watched you undersell yourself for a year." My throat tightened. "Marla, I'm not a stage person." "That's the story you tell yourself," she said. "But you're ready. And you're not doing it alone. I'll coach you." I almost said no out of habit. The rulebook had already opened in my head. Mic equals danger. Audience equals humiliation. Video equals forever. But then she pointed to a line item. Winner gets internal funding plus promotion track. I'd been stuck at the same level for 2 years. I was tired of being reliable. I wanted to build something, not just comment on other people's decks. Kai's words hit me. "You're shrinking." So I nodded. "Okay," I said, like I wasn't terrified. "I'll do it." Marla's smile widened just a fraction too fast, like she'd won something. "Perfect. I'll send you a template for the deck. And Eric? Trust me." For the next 2 weeks, she was everywhere, dropping by my desk with quick tips, praising me in public. "Eric's doing something exciting." And every time someone looked at me, I felt my skin tighten, like the room was already judging me in advance. The night before our first rehearsal, I got a notification, a new meeting added to my calendar. It wasn't from Marla. It was titled, "Eric's Practice Run, Come Watch," smiley face, with 20 coworkers invited. The organizer field read, Eric H. The invite came from my account, but I never sent it. I spent 5 full minutes staring at that calendar invite, waiting for my brain to produce a reasonable explanation. Maybe I'd clicked send by accident. Maybe Outlook had auto-added people. Maybe I was overreacting because fear makes everything feel intentional. Then the Slack ping started. "LOL, are we really watching Eric practice? Bring popcorn." My hands went cold. I searched my sent folder. Nothing. I checked calendar history. The invite was created at 6:12 p.m. While I was at home, nowhere near my work laptop. "Kai," I said, voice thin. "Did I send something weird?" He looked up. No. Why? I showed him the invite. He didn't laugh. That scared me more than if he had. That's not you, he said. You hate smiley faces. I canceled it. Changed my password. Turned on two-factor. Told myself it was done. The next morning, I walked into the co-working office and felt that specific kind of attention, the kind that pretends it isn't staring. In the kitchen, Renee, our operations lead, poured coffee beside me. Hey, she said. Weird question. I braced. Did you mean to invite half the team to something last night? She asked. I canceled it, I said quickly. It wasn't me. Renee's eyebrows lifted like she believed me, but didn't know what to do with that. Well, people still got the notification. And then someone posted in #general. My stomach dropped. Posted what? She tilted her phone toward me. A screenshot of a Slack message from an account named Anonymous Feedback Bot. We used it for pulse surveys. The message read, excited to watch Eric's practice run. Hope it's not complicated again. That phrase wasn't just a phrase. It was the scar tissue of my entire adult life. I never told anyone here about that, I said. Renee watched my face, her expression shifting from curiosity to concern. Eric, people are saying it like it's a thing. I looked across the room and caught Marla near a glass conference pod, laughing with two managers. When she noticed me, she lifted her hand in a small wave, like we shared a secret. Renee stepped closer, lowering her voice. Renee whispered, Who told them your old nickname? I went to the bathroom and locked myself in a stall like I was 12. My brain tried to make it my fault. Maybe I'd mentioned the meme at happy hour and forgotten. Maybe I'd told Marla during one of our coaching sessions and blocked it out. Maybe I was projecting old humiliation onto normal office teasing. But the invite, the bot message, the exact phrase, the smile. What would you do if your worst fear kept happening on schedule? I pulled up our company's security portal, the one nobody checks until they're scared. Under recent activity, there it was, a login to my Microsoft account at 6:10 p.m. the night before. Location, co-working office, downtown. At 6:10, I'd been at home. I clicked more details. The device name wasn't mine. It was listed as Marla LT04. My pulse started thudding in my ears. I took screenshots with the timestamp visible, 12/03, 9:41 a.m. The portal even showed the IP address and successful sign-in, like it was a normal Tuesday. I messaged IT through the ticket system. Hi, I see a login from a device that isn't mine. Can you confirm if anyone has delegated access to my calendar or email? I expected a generic response in a few hours. Instead, within 10 minutes, a technician named Sam replied, Looks like your calendar has a delegate assigned. Do you want it removed? My fingers went numb. I typed, Who is the delegate? Sam attached an audit export instead of replying in chat. A CSV file titled Calendar Delegates _Eric H. CSV. Rows of boring columns. User _ID, permission _level, assigned _by, date _created. One row wasn't boring. Delegate, Marla V. Permission, editor plus send on behalf. Assigned by, Marla V. Created, November 18th, 7:02 p.m. I stared at the date. November 18th, 2 days after she'd told me, I'm proud of you for knowing your limits. 2 days after she decided I needed a stage. I forwarded the file to my personal email like it was contraband, then sat there breathing through my mouth, trying not to gag. Because if Marla could create invites as me, she could do more than invite people to watch me sweat. The log showed one delegate with permission to send invites as me. I didn't confront Marla right away. Fear had a new flavor now, not just rejection, but retaliation. So I did what I've always done when I'm scared. I gathered data. I had IT remove Marla as a delegate. Then I pulled my account sign-in report and saved it as a PDF. It felt dramatic, but so did someone puppeting my calendar. Next, I went to Renee. She wasn't my friend, but she was competent, and competence makes people less likely to swallow nonsense. Can I ask you something off the record? I said, catching her near the kitchen. Renee didn't smile. If this is about the not complicated joke, I'm already annoyed. My stomach tightened. Why? Because it's mean, she said. And because that bot account shouldn't be posting jokes. It's supposed to post survey links. Someone repurposed it. What does it take to post as the bot? I asked. Renee pulled up a permissions page. Admin access or the token, she said. Admin list is short. IT. HR, and Marla. She's an admin because she runs engagement. Of course she did. I showed Renee the delegate's CSV. I watched her face change as she read it. Eric, she said quietly, why would Marla give herself send on behalf to your calendar? I didn't authorize it, I said. I didn't know it existed. Renee's jaw set. That's not normal. I decided to test Marla's story without tipping my hand. I walked to her desk after lunch. Hey, I said, forcing casual. IT says there was a delegate on my calendar. Did you request that? Marla didn't blink. Yes, she said easily. For scheduling. Totally standard when I'm coaching someone. It was created on November 18th, I said. She laughed like I'd asked whether water was wet. That's when I realized you needed structure. Her voice was soft. Her eyes were hard. That night, Kai listened while I dumped everything onto the kitchen table. Screenshots, the CSV, the bot message. You suspect, he said. Now prove. The next morning, I asked Renee if she could pull the admin change log for the anonymous feedback bot. 2 hours later, she slacked me. You're going to want to see this. Then she attached a screenshot anyway. Renee sent me a screenshot that made my stomach drop again. The screenshot Renee sent was a Slack admin log, ugly and undeniable. It listed actions with timestamps, like receipts a system didn't know were incriminating. November 29th, 8:16 p.m. Token regenerated for anonymous feedback bot, initiated by Marla V. March 12th, 6:11 p.m. Message posted as anonymous feedback bot, initiated by Marla V. I stared at it until my eyes hurt. It wasn't someone. It wasn't my paranoia. It was Marla. I finally knew what was happening. I still didn't know why. I checked my shared drive history. Our files logged access, and I'd never bothered to look. Marla had opened my deck over and over, fine, but she'd downloaded it twice after midnight. Then I spotted something I hadn't created, a nested folder called Review Materials. Inside were screenshots of my draft slides with red circles around mistakes. A cropped photo of me mid-sentence at the coffee shop, eyes half closed, mouth open like I was yawning. And a short video clip labeled Eric_practice_bloopers. MP4. I didn't remember anyone filming me. I opened it. Shaky footage from across the coffee shop. My voice cracked. I stumbled on a word. The clip lingered on my face like it wanted me to look stupid. At the end, you could hear Marla laugh, soft, off camera, like she was sitting next to whoever recorded it. My hands started trembling so hard I had to set the laptop down. Kai walked in, took one look at the screen, and went still. That's targeted. She told me she was coaching, I said. She told me to trust her. Kai's jaw tightened. This isn't coaching. It's content. Content. That word made it click. The invite, the bot message, the careful timing. It all felt designed to create a moment people could share. What would you do if your worst fear kept happening on schedule? Innovation pitch night was in 4 days. A stage, 2 projectors, dozens of phones, and someone had already built a folder of my worst angles. Marla had scheduled my humiliation for the actual stage, not rehearsal. I didn't sleep. My brain kept replaying 2 futures like a cruel loop. 1. I went to HR quietly, handed them screenshots, and watched the process grind while Marla smiled at me in meetings like nothing happened. Maybe she got a slap on the wrist. Maybe she got smarter. 2. I stayed quiet, went on stage, and waited for her to pull whatever lever she'd set up, until I became the office meme of the year. Kai watched me pace the living room. Stop forecasting, he said. Start building a case. So I did. I made a folder on my personal drive called Evidence and dropped everything in. Slack admin log screenshot. Token regenerated plus bot message posted, both attributed to Marla. Calendar delegate CSV. Marla assigned herself, send on behalf, to my calendar. Security portal sign-in. Marla LT04 logged into my account at 6:10 p.m. Drive history. My deck downloaded after midnight. The review materials folder, photos, and the blooper clip. Renee added one more screenshot. Marla listed as a Slack admin. Then texted, be careful. She's connected. Careful used to mean don't speak. Now it had to mean don't get crushed. I scheduled an emergency session with Dr. Patel. I'd been seeing him for anxiety, for the rulebook, for the way my body treated audiences like predators. I'd never laid my work life on his desk like this. I showed him the receipts on my phone, thumbs slick with sweat. He studied them, then looked up. This isn't about your competence, he said. It's about control. I don't know whether to confront her privately or expose her, I admitted. If I go public, I look dramatic. If I go private, she keeps the narrative. Dr. Patel leaned forward. What outcome do you want that isn't revenge? I hated the question for half a second. Then it landed. I want to speak, I said, surprised by how raw my voice sounded. I want the truth to be louder than the joke. Dr. Patel nodded once, like I'd finally said the right thing. Then he asked something else. One sentence that turned my fear into a strategy. Dr. Patel asked one question that made my plan feel possible. Dr. Patel's question kept echoing. What would accountability look like if you weren't trying to prove yourself? The next day, Marla pinged me. Quick check-in. Conference room B at 3. Conference room B was glass-walled, dead center of the co-working floor. A fishbowl. Kai texted, don't go alone. Renee agreed to sit outside with her laptop, close enough to witness the vibe, if not the words. At 2:58, I walked into room B. Marla was already there, smiling, my deck printed out like we were reviewing a contract. Eric, she said brightly. Sit. I've been thinking about your opening. I sat. My phone was in my pocket with a voice memo recording. Not because I wanted drama, because I didn't trust my own memory around someone this smooth. I want to ask about the anonymous feedback bot, I said. Her eyes flickered for a fraction of a second. Then she laughed. Oh God, people are silly. It posted about me, I said, with a phrase I've never shared here. Marla's smile stayed, but tightened. Workplaces have gossip, she said. You can't control it. And the calendar invite created from my account. I asked. She leaned back. Eric, she said gently, you're under pressure. Under pressure, people misremember. I didn't misremember IT logs, I said. Her expression shifted, not angry, but wounded. So you went to IT about me, she said softly, like I'd betrayed her. I went to IT about my account being accessed. I corrected. Marla sighed like she was tired of raising me. I have advocated for you, she said. I have coached you. And now you're accusing me of sabotage? She leaned forward, voice still calm. Do you know how this looks? I didn't answer. If you bring drama to pitch night, she continued, you will burn your own reputation. People don't trust instability. My old rulebook screamed, apologize. Back down. Make it go away. Through the glass, I saw Renee's reflection. She lifted her coffee cup in a small, steadying salute. Marla leaned closer and said my full name like a warning. The realization was brutal. My fear wasn't just in my head anymore. It had a person, a strategy, a calendar. So I built my own. Renee and I met at a coffee shop near the office. She opened her laptop and said, I can't believe I'm helping you trap our director. Kai showed up after his shift, still in scrubs. We need a plan that doesn't make you look unhinged, he said. Facts, not vibes. That's the point, Renee added. You don't expose. You present evidence like a spreadsheet. We listed Marla's levers and started removing them. I exported my real slide deck to a PDF and saved it offline. No one could swap it if it wasn't connected. I built a decoy deck, almost identical, but with a hidden slide containing a unique phrase in tiny white text, Blue Finch 47. If that phrase showed up anywhere, I'd know which file got touched. I shared the decoy link to Marla with view-only permissions, then watched the access log like it was a heartbeat monitor. Renee coordinated with the event AV tech to record the projector feed and microphone audio for the post-event recap. She also asked the host to keep the Q&A mic live for audience engagement. All normal-sounding requests that quietly protected me. I scheduled a meeting with HR for the morning after pitch night. Not to scream, to document. The subject line was bland. Concern account access logs. Dr. Patel's advice kept me steady. Decide your boundary now, so panic doesn't improvise later. My boundary was simple. If Marla tried to humiliate me publicly again, I would tell the truth publicly. Not with rage. With receipts. The night before pitch night, I sent one message in our coaching thread. Hey Marla, updated deck link here. Thanks again for the support. Link included. I watched the drive history. 1 minute. 2. 3. Then, at 11:52 p.m., the log updated. Marla V. Downloaded. Eric_pitch_final_V3. My heart thudded, but my brain got weirdly calm. Because now I knew she was going to try something. And this time, she couldn't do it quietly. When Marla saw the new deck link, she reacted exactly how I hoped. Innovation pitch night felt like walking into an old nightmare on purpose. Phones were already out when they called my name. Marla sat at the center of the panel, smiling like she'd reserved a front-row seat to my collapse. My hands shook as I stepped to the lectern. The projector lit up. The first slide wasn't mine. It was that cropped coffee shop photo, my eyes half closed, mouth open, frozen in a way that made me look dumb. A ripple of laughter ran through the room. I heard a camera click. Marla's smile widened. I took the mic and said, steady enough to shock myself, "Before I start, I need to address something." The laughter thinned into silence. I clicked once. My real title slide appeared. "This is my deck," I said. "What you just saw was inserted without my permission." I clicked again. Screenshot, Slack admin log. 2 lines highlighted. Both ended with initiated by Marla V. One was the bot token regeneration. One was the bot message that used my old humiliation phrase. The room changed. People stopped smiling. I clicked again. Calendar delegate CSV row. Marla, send on behalf. Created November 18th. Then, security portal sign-in. Device Marla, LT, 04 accessing my account the night my practice run, invite appeared. I kept my voice flat on purpose. These are system logs from IT. They show my account was accessed and permissions were added without my authorization. In the second row, Renee sat perfectly still, hands folded, like a human anchor. Somewhere near the back, the AV camera's red light blinked, recording the projector feed exactly as planned. Someone whispered, "Is she serious?" Marla's mouth opened. I didn't look at her. "I'm going to finish my pitch now," I said. "If anyone needs the logs afterward, I can provide them." Then I did it. Not perfectly. Honestly, my voice cracked once, and I didn't apologize. I didn't make myself small to make the room comfortable. When I ended, the applause started hesitant, then got louder. Marla shoved her chair back, like sound itself offended her. Then Marla tried to speak, and the host finally cut her off. I expected the aftermath to feel like relief. Instead, it felt like stepping onto broken glass and pretending you're fine. Right after my pitch, the host pushed everyone into networking. People came up in awkward little clusters. One engineer whispered, "Are you okay?" A designer said, "I'm sorry," then glanced around like apologizing might be dangerous. And then there were the others, the ones who avoided my eyes, like association could stain them. Marla didn't storm out. She moved through the room smiling, touching shoulders, laughing too loud, performing innocence. When she passed me, she didn't hiss. She just said, quietly, "You embarrassed yourself." Kai appeared at my side like a bouncer. "Bathroom," he muttered. "Now?" In the hallway, I finally let my hands shake. Not from fear of her anymore, from the release of years of clenching. Renee found us near the elevators. "I emailed HR," she said. "Logs attached. AV has the recording." "You didn't have to do that," I said. "Yes," she said flatly. "I did." That night, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Half the messages were supportive. The other half was weaponized concern. "Hope you're okay mentally. Maybe handle it privately next time. This is a lot for the team." Privately. Like the humiliation had been private. The next morning, I sat in HR with a folder of receipts and the kind of calm that only shows up when you're too tired to panic. The HR manager, Tessa, asked for timelines and file locations, then said, "We're opening an investigation." Investigation sounded official. It also sounded slow. By lunch, the office had split into factions. Some people treated me like a hero. Some treated me like a hazard. Marla's allies smiled at me like I'd created paperwork. Then weird little things started happening. My access to a shared folder disappeared. A meeting moved without me. A teammate suddenly forgot to loop me in. Kai texted, "They're trying to isolate you. Don't let it work." At 9:07 a.m. The next day, HR forwarded Marla's subject line. HR's email was Marla trying to get ahead of the story. Subject line, "Concern, Eric's behavior at pitch night." In the body, she wrote in that polished, compassionate tone, "I'm worried Eric is under stress and maybe misinterpreting normal coaching. I'm concerned for his well-being and the team's psychological safety." I felt the old panic try to rise, because it's hard to fight someone who weaponizes care. But Tessa from HR replied in the same thread, "Please do not contact Eric directly while the investigation is ongoing." That sentence was the first boundary anyone had put between Marla and me. The investigation lasted a few weeks. It was quiet, but the facts were facts. The logs didn't have feelings. IT confirmed the delegate permissions. Slack confirmed the bot token changes. The AV recording showed the slide swap. Marla was removed from mentoring and event organizing. Eventually, she resigned to pursue other opportunities, corporate for we won't say the ugly part. What changed faster than the company was me. Dr. Patel had me do exposure work that sounded stupid until it wasn't. If my fear was trained by public humiliation, confidence had to be trained by public survival. Start tiny, he said. Repeat. Let your body learn it doesn't die. So I did. Ask a stranger for directions. Speak once in a meeting. Correct a wrong coffee order without apologizing for existing. Say, actually, I disagree. And survive the silence afterward. Kai turned it into reps like my nervous system was a bicep. 5 a day, he'd say. Renee helped in quieter ways. Before meetings, she'd message. If you want to say something, I'll back you up. She didn't baby me. She just made sure I wasn't alone. I wrote new rules to replace the old rulebook. If someone jokes at my expense, I name it once calmly. I don't apologize for taking up normal space. I lock down my accounts like my dignity depends on it, because apparently it does. I choose visibility on my terms. The strangest part was realizing rejection wasn't what destroyed me. Silence was. Every time I ran, I taught my body that fear was right. So I stopped running in small, daily ways until my brain started believing me. The first time I said no out loud, my voice didn't break. Here's the part one wish someone had told 22-year-old me, back when a dumb meme could rewrite my life. Public rejection feels like death because your brain treats belonging like oxygen. When a room laughs, your nervous system hears, you are not safe here. So you do the logical thing. You avoid rooms. You avoid microphones. You avoid anything that could become a story other people tell. But avoidance has interest. It compounds. It doesn't just protect you from humiliation. It protects you from being seen, period. For years, I thought the goal was to never be rejected. That's impossible. People will say no. People will misunderstand you. People will be weird. You can't control that. What you can control is whether you abandon yourself the moment someone might judge you. Marla didn't invent my fear. She just exploited it. And the reason her setup almost worked is because part of me still believed that if I got embarrassed again, it would mean something true about me. It didn't. It never did. The toddler meme from my first job didn't prove I was stupid. It proved my workplace was immature. The slide swap at pitch night didn't prove I was incompetent. It proved someone with power was willing to cheat in public because she thought I'd stay quiet. The biggest win wasn't that HR investigated or that Marla left. The biggest win was that I stayed on stage anyway. I felt the heat in my face, the tremor in my hands, the old urge to disappear, and I didn't. I let people see me living through it. If you want something practical, here's what helped me more than any inspirational quote. Pick one tiny public action a day and do it on purpose. Ask a question in a meeting. Return the wrong order. Tell a friend, that joke didn't land. Don't start with the stage. Start with your nervous system learning, over and over, that you survive visibility. Because confidence isn't a personality trait. It's evidence you've collected. And once you have enough evidence, your fear stops sounding like prophecy and starts sounding like background noise.